Hello and welcome to the New School Leader, where we are committed to helping new and aspiring assistant principals develop the skills that they need to take the next step in their leadership journey. Thank you so much for joining us again. I'm Luke Croy.
And I'm Brett Phipps.
And in today's video, we're going to talk about 5 common mistakes that new assistant principals make, and hopefully we're going to help you avoid making those same mistakes. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video for the question of the day so that you can engage with the rest of the community. And with that, let's go ahead and get started.
The very first mistake that most of us make is not asking questions. I think it's big.
No doubt.
You have to know, number one, when you get that new job, you get that new task that every administrator gets, you need to know the due date. I think that's so important. I think a lot of us don't ask that question.
Sure.
Because it might not have to be done right away. And when you get started in this and things are flying at you 100 miles an hour, you really start to think about triage.
Yeah, no doubt.
What's most important? What do I need to get done right away? You also must know how your leader does business. And this can change throughout the year based on his trust in you or her trust in you as you grow into your own leadership style. Does the leader need to be involved in every aspect of the decision you're making? Sometimes it's a big job, or this is the person you're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
This is the person you work with who really needs to be involved in all the decisions. They need to have their hand in almost everything they do. So they're going to check in periodically. The second type of leader that you might get is someone who is going to just check in at the end of the project. Hey, do you do the work? At the end, I want to check to make sure that you align with me and I align with you. This helps in a lot of ways. And honestly, as a new leader, you're going to want to check in periodically. Get that okay from him or her. And lastly, the leader who gives you the keys to the car. We all want this, or we think we want this, but this could be scary as a new leader.
Sure.
Yeah. Not all the time do we need to have the keys to the car and drive it around, because sometimes we wreck. We just do. So this could vary by project. Your leadership style or your leader's leadership style can change throughout the year. And as they get more confidence in you, they'll be giving you those keys.
So the second common mistake that most new administrators make, and I think probably most administrators in general, new or not, is just not taking time to reflect. So we've talked before on the show about taking time to reflect and how important it is, but it's worth mentioning again here because reflection can be one of the most important things we do to accelerate our growth. It allows us to learn from our own mistakes. It allows us to learn how we work most efficiently, thinking through your day and starting to understand when's the best time of the day for me to get into classrooms? When is the best time of the day for me to work on various tasks? When's the best time of the day for me to work through my email list? All of those things, those are things that you start to figure out over time, but you can figure it out faster if you take some time every day, whether it's in the morning or whether it's at the end of the day. We've talked about that before, to really just kind of iron out what those things look like and what works best for you. So definitely want to make sure that you set aside some intentional time every day, morning, night, doesn't matter, to reflect on how you work and the lessons that you're learning on a daily basis, especially as a new administrator.
On the flip side of reflection has to be, number 3, not planning ahead.
Yeah.
This is important for you as a new leader, and it's also difficult with a new role. You don't know what you don't know sometimes. I hate to even say that out loud, but it's true. You're going to find so many times where something jumps up at you that you never really expected to come up.
Sure.
One of those is just figuring out your big rocks. The biggest rock of all that I can think of is testing. Whether that's by state, district, or campus testing that you do, it's going to come up. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to be time consuming, and everybody's going to be involved for the most part. So you've got to figure out when that's going to happen and how that plays into your plan throughout the year. And on that note, don't forget about evaluations. The evaluation plan is something you've got to give some time to. What are you going to do? What does your campus administration require? What does your district administration require? And obviously, what does your state require with your evaluations? I'm going to tell you this, when you get to springtime, it starts to speed up.
Yeah, it's too late. If you don't have it done by then,
you're going to miss it.
Yeah, it's too
absolutely. All those things that creep up on you, all the activities that happen in the spring, field trips, and even spring break. And if you get to spring break and you haven't finished your evaluations,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. So make sure you give time to think through how you're going to evaluate and the timetable you're going to do it in.
So the fourth mistake that's super common among administrators, especially new administrators, is staying in the office too much. Super easy to do.
Absolutely.
And even, as a more experienced administrator, it's hard. You have to fight it. Mm-hmm. You have to force yourself to get out of your office sometimes. But I know I was the worst when I first became an administrator, because I just got so caught up in the busyness of the job, and it didn't allow me to engage in the work of being an assistant principal,
right.
which should be instructional leadership. Now, there are all kinds of things that are going to get thrown at you, so just be prepared for that. But you've got to find the right time to do those things. My boss all the time says, we serve the customers while the customers are in the building. And
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And so kind of the thing that I get from that is I do people during school hours, and I do paperwork before or after, and as much as I can, right? There are going to be some timely things that have to happen during the school day, but there aren't that many things that you've got to get done right now. There just aren't. There are some, and when those things show up, you got to work through them. But there are a lot of things that, if you're intentional about setting aside blocks of time to work on them, you'll have time to get into classrooms. One of the things that I think has helped me, and I've started doing this a little bit more often, is you're going to get done with something. You're going to get done with a task. You're going to get done with a project. And you're going to go, okay, what do I need to do now? Anytime that happens, go jump into a classroom.
Absolutely.
Anytime you're like, what do I need to do next? Go jump into a classroom really quickly and spend a little time there, 10, 15 minutes, and then come back and start the next thing. Give yourself an opportunity. Otherwise, you'll just string task after task after task together. So don't get caught up in the busyness of the job. Get into classrooms and really engage in the actual work of being an instructional leader.
No question. The fifth and final mistake that new administrators could make is not taking care of yourself. I think that I certainly fall in that role of not doing that physically, emotionally, taking care of family. The truth is that you can burn the candle at both ends in this job and still not get it all done. So folks, do yourself a favor and just take some time to take care of yourself. And I'll tell you something else. It's okay to say no to things. I think that was something I still really have a hard time with as just a people pleaser, right? So many of us administrators are type A, but also people pleasers. And it's often hard to say no to someone who needs help or needs something. But you're a team, right? You're part of a team, so they can do it all together. I'd also say the second thing on the not taking care of yourself idea is not having a confidant or a tribe. And we've talked about this a lot before, but I think it's, again, worth mentioning again because I think it's so important. So find that somebody that you can trust to talk with, to converse with, to bounce ideas on or off of. I think it's worth your while. And finally, self-development. The race to get in this job is so intense that I think sometimes we just stop when we finally get that first job.
I did it.
That's right. We're here. We're good now. Don't fall into that trap, guys. Keep learning, and never stop growing.
You mentioned having a tribe, and we've talked about that in the past. One of the things that you didn't say that I think is super important in that is being able to vent, having somebody that you can vent, right?
Question.
And it doesn't always need to be your spouse,
right?
Because
it doesn't.
I'm just being honest here, right?
That's right.
They already have to deal with our emotions and our ups and downs, and if all we ever do when we come home is talk about how hard it was, that's going to wear on them too. So we need to, especially if they're not in the same role as you, right? Which most of us aren't.
Right.
So that's one of the good things about having a tribe, right? Just to be able to call somebody up and share your frustrations, share the awful thing that happened or what that parent called you or whatever, just to get it off your chest so that you don't carry it home. I know for years when I actually had a decent commute and Brett had a decent commute, we would call each other on the way to work or on the way home from work and just talk it out so that when I walked in the door, everything was good. It was the best day ever, right? It was the best day ever.
You can go be dad, you can go be husband, you can go do something that makes sense for your family.
Yeah, for sure. So I just wanted to hit that really quick.
Big believer.
That brings us to today's question of the day, which is pretty simple, but we want to hear from you guys down in the comments. What is one way that you're going to commit to taking care of yourself in the upcoming school year? Let us know down below. We're going to share our ideas. We're going to talk it out right there. And that is all the time we have for today. If you found some value in this, hit the like button, subscribe so that we can get this out in front of more people who need to see it. And we'll see you guys next time.